Testing. Oh, you working good. How's everyone feeling?
Good morning, good morning.
Mel, was that energy good or was
That was bad, that was bad.
Muggs bad, right?
That was bad.
How's everyone doing? That was better, right?
That's much better.
I think they were all at the casino last night. That's why.
Oh, okay.
I seen a couple of them.
Kind of sad faces on that roulette table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We obviously all know you're a legend. Overcame a lot of odds, being one of the shortest players, if not the shortest.
The shortest. Still.
Right? So, guys, I'm going to ask him some questions, and after that, we're going to pick 5 lucky winners when they ask really good questions. So I'm going to let him be the judge of that, and you guys are going to get a Muggsy Bogues signed jersey.
Oh.
Sound good? Yo, can you guys wake up? Like, wow.
I know, before we start, I just want to say I am thankful for Arrow for bringing me up here this week, for today, to come out here and hang out with you guys, to talk a little bit about my journey, what I've been through, and hope that some of the things that I've gone through, some of the challenges that I have faced and overcame, that anytime that you kind of find a little, time where you're not feeling your best or you don't want to just go through it all and feel like you can accomplish that goal, just think of what I had to go through, that little nugget, and keep pushing forward. So I am looking forward to having a nice little chat with you guys.
So you were obviously the shortest player in NBA history. What mindset did you cultivate to not just survive, but thrive in a league dominated basically by giants?
Well, it all started when I was growing up in the city of Baltimore. The life that I had to live in terms of overcoming, constantly trying to prove myself, people not believing that a guy my size should even think about playing the game of basketball, because I don't supposed to be here. They told me I need to change my dreams, that I was too small. So I developed a really tough sense of myself early on, and it happened, through some drama as well, because at the age of 5, I got shot. And by going through that drama, that traumatic experience, it just changed my mindset. And I did not allow anyone to tell me what I should do, who I should be. I just started just doing things and trying things and believing that, if I want to do it, I should be able to do it. And then once I learned how to play the game of basketball, it just allowed me to really just keep climbing up the ladder. And I had the mindset that if I play against the best, if I have success against the best, I must be included with the best. So understanding that at an early age allowed me to become the young man that I am.
Speaking of doubts, did you ever doubt yourself personally? And if you did, what did you do to overcome those doubts?
Early on, I did doubt myself. I was like any other person. I was afraid, I was scared, I was small. All the jokes that was coming my way wasn't, too pleasing, and so those words hurt. They really did. I used to go home crying to my mom every day, and she knew nothing about the game of basketball. But the only thing she used to tell me, Ty, I was Ty and I wasn't Muggsy, before I got that nickname. She just say, Ty, no one can be an expert in your life. No one know your capability, your potential, and they definitely can't measure your heart. If you want to play basketball, you go right out there and play. I knew nothing what that meant. At the time, I didn't know what that meant. I just, the words sound so good, it gave me a little more confidence just to keep going back out there, to keep proving people wrong, because, they didn't have the belief that what I was thinking in my head or what I was carrying around in my thought process. I just wanted to, prove people wrong, to get out there and show that this game of basketball could be meant for anybody who want to play it.
Yeah, okay. Now, for those out there in the world, obviously, who's constantly being, underestimated or, being doubted, what advice would you give them?
Number one is have total confidence within yourself, because that's where it all starts. God's give us all a gift. I believe he gives us all a gift. It's hopefully that we all recognize what that gift is. Luckily, I was able to recognize mine. I just tell, anyone that, people always would seem to tell you who you want to be, who you should be, but you already know who you want to be. So never give nobody that much power over you. You always just try to, be the best you can be. Sometimes you might be out your comfort zone, And that might be a good place to be, because that's a place where now you start to gain some type of knowledge and experience of that situation. So I will always tell anyone that believe in you, you know, have someone that, a hierarchy that you call on, and go for it. And just go for it, and don't care about what anyone think or what anybody says.
Obviously, you were a floor general. How did you earn the respect of, your teammates and, taking that lead as a point guard that like they didn't expect you, looking at you as the shortest guy? How did you gain their respect and their trust?
Well, I understood my position. The point guard, that's where it starts. It's like an extension of the coach. So you gotta know how to lead and I had four pillars that I always kind of leaned on. Being empathetic, being able to put yourself in other people's shoes, being accountable, knowing, and I knew what the guys been through, what make them tick and so forth. And also, being visual, having to understand where we're going, what the task is at hand and what we're trying to accomplish, and then being gratitude, being grateful about it all, and having that understanding. I think they trusted me. We believed in each other. We all understood each other's roles, because that's one of the things that we all, as a point guard as well as a coach, we all want to make sure that everybody identify what their role is and everybody play it to the best of their ability. That's how we build that type of chemistry within one another. And we was able to do so unexpectedly, at a short period of time in some seasons that we wasn't expected to win, but because of the relationship that we had, the cohesiveness and the chemistry that we had as a team, we was able to accomplish some things that people didn't expect it.
Now, out of your whole span of your career, which teammate would you say, you learned the most from?
Several. My first teammate when I came in the NBA was Moses Malone. May he rest in peace. Moses was a veteran. I was a rookie. I had Manu Bol on my team at the time. So it was a lot of things going on with us where the media was having fun with the height differential, And then all of a sudden, the NBA is a business. You came from college, which is something that you looked at as a hobby, but once you get into the NBA, you got to realize it's a business and how to stay there. And I was a highly draft pick, and I knew that a lot of the media was going to focus on my height and so forth. And I had to, accept and understand that this was, going to be part of my journey, and understanding that and how to block things out. But Moses kind of just told me, never read the papers. He said, while you're in this league, don't read the papers. I said, well, I don't read the paper. He said, well, one of the things that you may read some good things, but then you're going to read some negative things. And that's some of the things that you want to stay away from. So just go out there, do your job, keep your head above water, stay out of, harm's way. Don't get yourself caught up in the negative things that's out there on the court. Give yourself a chance. And being able to do it, and by me being able to do so, and he also taught me a little bit about how to focus on to be impactful on the basketball court. Pick my guy up 94 feet, stop worrying about shooting a jump shot outside, try to get to the basket, get easy basket this time. So little nuggets like that allowed me to kind of, start to think and understand that, this is not a 1 or 2 year that I want to be in this league. I want to be here for a long period of time, and thankful for that. I was able to play 14 blessed for these seasons.
Yes, sir. A round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. Now, looking back, obviously, on your career and what you did, not just as an athlete, what would you say, you're most proud of on and off the court?
Well, the most proud off the court? Oh, it's easy. It's my kids. It's my babies, Seeing them grow into who they are today. Now they have their own family. It is priceless. I mean, having grandkids, I say if you raise your kids right, you can always spoil your grandkids. So they are definitely spoiled. And seeing the joy of my kids watching their kids go through that process, it's a blessing. So I'm really grateful for that. And on the court, just being able to stay it all the way through, staying on that path and not giving up regardless. of what they was telling me,
Yeah.
because I could easily went the other way, easily. Yes, with the challenges that I was faced with. Life wasn't rough, wasn't easy in Baltimore. Um, the path wasn't easy. The streets was rough. I could easily went down the wrong path, but basketball was my way out. It gave me an opportunity to stay disciplined, stay focused, and it also gave me a sense of purpose. So having that and being able to understand that of who I am and what I was faced with, what I had to go through, and the fact that folks didn't think that a guy my size could play the game on not only just in the NBA, but on middle school and high school and college and then of course at the NBA. So being able to withstand all that, to stay true to who I was and who I am, I'm so grateful.
All right. Round of applause for that. That's it. You know? So obviously, when you make the league, you thought, I mean, most athletes think, they made it. This is success, right? What does success mean to you today compared to when you first made the NBA?
That success is all about accomplishments, right? So I still look at it as pretty much the same, in the lens of my goals that I was chasing, the things that I had in my mind for so long, and for it to finally become to a fruition. And when I heard my name called at the NBA draft, and that weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders, and having, you know, the means of now change the narrative of my entire family. Looking at that success, I looked at that as success. But just now, in terms of both my foundation, providing for the underserved, you know, giving kids a means of how to now look at life differently, as opposed to what they was accustomed to looking at it as, feel like they need to go to a 4-year university. Where now we create a platform where they can now go to a trade school, and to where you have to go straight to a program to where they can get a skill and therefore go on not only get a job, but also be in a position to own your own business. And also, with the food insecurities and the workforce development that are also attached to the foundation. Having that platform to be able to provide that type of service for those, I look at as success as well. Being able to give them a means to better their life, to be able to, because we know it all starts with having, a fresh meal on the table for the families. Exactly. To be able to go out there to be the best version of themselves. So that's how I look at success.
Now, your younger self, if he was to see you today, what would Ty say to Muggsy?
Do what you did. Don't change anything. What I went through, it was for a purpose. It was a purpose. The bad as well as the good, it was all meaningful. And I'm so thankful that I went through it all. Because if you don't face, because no one is immune to it, no matter who you are. But it's how you're able to deal with it, how you look at it, and how you navigate through it, especially when it's a challenge.
Now, you've inspired so many people who don't fit the mold. So obviously, they're not 6'5" and up. They're not even 6 feet. What does that mean to you that, you inspired all of those guys that don't meet that height requirement that we've always thought that you have to be, tall to play in the NBA? What does that mean to you?
Well, when I look at it, it's not just about the NBA. It's about this size, that size, stature, that if you're 6 feet and under, that you look down upon. It's a challenge that you always gotta prove. It's a proving point. And regardless of what the industry is, it seems like that's something that you always gotta prove to someone. And I'm so thankful that, people look at what I've gone through and my journey and how I was able to, come on the other side of it and say that, gosh, he didn't give up. He didn't quit. And if he can do it, then maybe I can do it. So giving them a sense of a hope and confidence within that they can achieve their goals or whatever that thought process may be. So having that impact on the individual, I would be always feel be I always would be grateful for that.
What's one story throughout your career or even in life, or like a fan interaction that made you like think to yourself like, damn, this is bigger than just a game. It's bigger than just basketball.
Watching my moms, had my pops had to go to prison, and she, only had 11th grade education. But now she became the head of the household and had to go and now reinvent herself. And watching that's what really did it for me. I'm the youngest. I have 4 siblings. My sister passed away in 2015. I have 2 brothers left. They're older. And I wasn't supposed to be here. My mom had 2 miscarriages, and she was going to give up. But for some odd reason, her and my dad mistaken, she got pregnant again, and I came out. So, but watching her just go through that and seeing how she didn't even blink an eye when my pops got taken away from us. I was only 12 years old then. She was only 4'11", She was a pistol. She died in 2001, and I had 3 years left on my contract. I would have played 17 years, but I just had to be there for her, with her. And gosh, it's been 24 years, and it still have that same impact. But just to see the joy on her face when I made it, and her knowing the reason that drove me was mainly based on the decisions that she made by not wanting to get on welfare. Wanted to show that it was a different way of living. If you work hard, anything is possible. So I just buckled down, regardless of what folks were saying. Just dove into my basketball and just leaned on that and rode it all the way through.
Shout out moms. Give them a round of applause, guys.
Man, I wasn't expecting all this to come out.
Hey, I'm usually the comedian. I don't make people cry.
Whoa!
I usually make them laugh of tears. But this is what life is about. Obviously, everyone has a story, that they go through that. And I know a lot of people, their foundations, obviously, all of us wouldn't be here without our parents, right? So I want all you guys to give a round of applause to your parents as well. It's always about the parents, right? So let's lighten up the mood again, all right?
Yes.
We go lighten up the mood. If there was a movie about your life, who would you want to play you? And don't say Kevin Hart just because the height, all right? I don't want to hear that. It could be anybody.
That's my guy, though. That's a crazy question you just asked, because it is been, my movie is right now is in Barack Obama's hands in his company, and they right now they're looking at it, and then it goes to Skydance if they don't decide on it. So it's in the works. But the answer to your question is a young man that we've been looking at and I've been following for a little bit of time, because I've been at this movie thing for about 5 years, and we now finally it's coming to a fruition. His name is Chase Dillon. And Chase played in the Underground Railroad. And that was one of his movies that he played in. And I think he would do an excellent job of playing me as a young kid, and then also my grandson. He's he's my size. He's not a little taller. He's a little taller. But he got my whole makeup. He's a heck of a basketball player. He's at Georgia Southern right now, but the crazy thing, he stopped playing. He just want to focus on engineering. And but I told him that, we got this movie, and he got these plaits in his hair. I told him we're gonna have to cut them off. You're gonna have to. And my guy told him that, we're gonna at least give him a try. to see if he can meet because he got all the basketball elements that any actor, because it's hard to find an actor that has some basketball skills and kind of pull it off. So we got to get creative with it. But hopefully Chase could be that guy as well as my grandson.
Dope, dope. What's one underrated skill that people never really gave you credit for, or that you felt never gave you credit for?
Probably in the NBA, I would probably think I could score. Scoring was one of my things early on. But I knew that I had to change my role in terms of who I wanted to be, in terms of the impact that I wanted to have and how I wanted to be looked upon. Because at a certain height, you can't play the game like everybody else play the game. And that's why I'll be trying to tell some of these smaller guys, you can't reinvent the wheel. It's already been done. And the only reason why we don't have not as many small players in the league today, like it was back then, we had myself, we had Spud Webb, we had Earl Borking, we had a kid by the name of Gary Grant, and then Nate Robinson came along, Isaiah Thomas. So, but the guys, and the game has changed, of course, but you always going to be looked upon as a deficiency on the defensive side of the game, on the side of the ball. So you got to really try to change that whole narrative and the whole mindset of coaches as players that want to take advantage of you, to take you down low to, as I say, take advantage of you. So.
When it came to playing in the NBA, what player did you love playing against the most just to prove him something? What player do you feel like you were always trying to prove, yo, I'm that guy?
Well, it wasn't, everybody was tall to me, so it wasn't really nobody that, but it was just the competitiveness of the players. Magic. Magic was on his way, on the tail on his way out when I came in. I came in 87. He left in 92. And Isaiah Thomas, watching these guys for so long, you want to play against them. And, of course, when they see you, because they never saw a guy like me, especially Magic. After my first game against Magic, we played at the Cap Center. And, of course, he wants to bring it up because he's the point guard. And he knew of me, but didn't know about me. He just knew of me it's because of the scholarship. But when we first played, so he dribbling, doing his little dribbling like he normally does, and he dribbles so high. I'm right there. So I stole it from him. He like, ooh, okay, all right, little fella, I got you. Try to put me on his hip and try to back me down the way. I kind of went one way, stole it from him again. So he told Coop, you bring it up. And he went straight down to the post and tried to post me up and kind of, did his little thing, laid it up. And but then he tried to post me up again. And I had, I was a little strong little thing back then. So I kind of forced him away from the box. And he tried to make his little no-look pass, and I was able to get it again. So, but those little things, and Gary Payton is another guy that I love playing against because he loved talking a lot of trash. But those are the players that you love. Mark Price. People don't realize, Mark Price was this little white kid that you thought that you could just kind of, man. But before Steph Curry, it was Mark Price. Mark Price could shoot the lights out of the basketball. You could not leave him, and I like to help. And so he was one of the players that it was always hard to guard because I like to help off of him and help my teammates, but he would make you pay every single time. So we had some talented players, Kevin Johnson. I can go down, Fat Lever. We had so many players back then. I love playing against them all.
Now, I wasn't supposed to ask this, but Sam talked to me on the ones yesterday, and he wanted to know, he needs a point guard, all right? Are you down to play for the team? Because I could talk to Jamal, maybe get you 1.5 M's. For 10 games. It's not bad, right?
Oh, wait, that's good.
I'll talk to Jamal about that one.
Okay. What'd you say, 1.5?
1.5.
10 games?
I could maybe raise it to 2 if Sam doesn't go to the casino. Oh, is Sam in here?
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Sam. I thought you weren't here. Oh, it's Canadian? Okay, so yeah, 2 or 1.5. What do you think?
You say Canadian?
Canadian.
Okay, what's the machine there? That's less now.
It's less.
I thought the dollar
It's
was
okay. We'll
equal
get
now.
Jamal to throw in 500
Wasn't
USD.
it equal at one point?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jamal will throw 500 USD and Sam will do the 1.5 Canadian.
Okay. No
Sound?
tax.
Nah, I got you.
No tax.
Nah, none. I got it. I'll talk to Jamal tonight.
All right.
If he's not
How
gonna be at the
many?
casino.
How many minutes? It can't be no more than 5. Can't be
Sam,
no
how
more
many
than 5.
minutes, Sam?
Can't be no more than 5. Can't be no more than 5, Sam.
Open time? Okay, so you could play 30 seconds if you want.
30. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm down. 30 seconds.
Quick bag.
Ooh.
It's light.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Right?
I can handle it.
I got you.
I can handle it. Just long as it ain't 31. Yeah.
All right, so guys, whoever wants to ask a question, raise your hand. Listen, Mel, I don't want to get attacked today, so you're gonna choose the people. Yeah, you can get attacked.
What?
You're gonna choose?
Oh, I'm
Who's
choosing
asking?
who answered. Who asked?
Yeah.
You know I'm going with the lady first. Okay, let me go with this young lady right here. Yes. You want me?
Mel, you want a mic? Oh.
Hi, my name is Kiara. I work for Scarborough Spots. My question for you was, in the game of basketball now compared to when you were playing, is there anything that you would kind of adjust if you had the ability?
Yes, I will adjust a lot of things. For one, bring the big man back. You know, I used to love throwing the ball down to the guys and watch them, you know, do their little shimmies in the back. And it was physical back then. But no, I was just kidding. The game has evolved. It really has evolved. And our game back then was a lot physical, mainly because of the lack of skill set of our big men. You know, the big men today, you know, they're very versatile. You know, you got a 7'4" guy that's bringing the ball up the court, shooting threes, going between his legs. So, and these are the things that these kids are working on now. The only thing I would change is a little bit for the defense to have a little more leeway, because I think it's so much for the offense. They have so much advantage. But the playoffs seems though they letting them play a little more than they do in the regular season. It's a lot of threes being taken, a whole lot of threes being taken, and sometimes that can lead to bad basketball. I hope that it could kind of, and it's going to come to a coach, a team that has the understanding that how to take advantage of guys who can score on that mid-range. And you see some of them. You know, Boston, they got a ton of guys, but they got so much versatility, even though they shoot a lot of threes. But you look at it, they do attack the basket a lot. So that probably one aspect of the game that I would change in terms of not so many three-pointers. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That one just stood up.
My name's Brian.
Hey,
Morris
Brian.
with Canadian. I was in college. I was in college when you came from Wake Forest. First round pick. You were 12th, I think, pick.
Yes.
And you went on to have almost 7,000 points, 7,000 assists. But I'm walking through, going to class, and I'm watching the scores because I'm a bad boy Piston fan, right? So you guys get into the playoffs, best of 3 against the bad boys who went on to win the NBA championship. You had them down 2-0.
Yes.
They had to win 3. Could you take me through that? Because I'm a huge fan.
Good God Almighty.
Why did you have to remind him, bro? Why? We don't want no more tears, okay? He did.
Yeah, we had them. We had them. Oh, boy, we had them. But that kid, Isaiah Thomas, and Joe Dumas, they showed up at the unfortunate time and hit some unbelievable shots, some really tough shots, and really kind of regained the series. We had made a coaching change early on that season. We had Kevin Lockery we started off with, then we wound up with Coach Wes Unseld. They were a better team. They really were a better team, but we thought that we had their number that time, and being up 2-0, and you feel like, hey, the best of 3, this is it. You only got to win one more. That closeout game was so difficult. It was so difficult. And again, as you know, it was very physical back then. I got 8 stitches from that. You just brought up so many bad memories. No, it wasn't. It was Rick Mahorn. It was Rick Mahorn that hit me. Bill tried to run me down, but he couldn't catch me. I left him that time. But Yeah, the bad boys, they was a real thing. Chuck Daly had them boys playing. They had a very unique team. It was very balanced. John Sally and Rodman, then he had the microwave, Vinny coming off the bench scoring. So they was tough. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. Brown shirt, yes, sir.
What's up, Muggsy? How are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Good, good. Okay, so the first question was a little bit in line with what I was going to ask. So, like in the 90s and the 2000, a game, obviously, the players felt a lot more original, like versus now. And it was kind of about like where the league is going, how pretty much the league, it's a lot of prototype players, 6, 7, obviously the elimination of the mid-range, the overly focused on 3, which you already touched on. And a lot of the defensive rules being removed. Like, one of the most important things was like the trash talking, because that's a big part of the game, obviously. Yeah. And that's essentially been removed. But I want to kind of pivot on my question. It was, how important are the intangibles of the game, like the IQ, the mental toughness, the finesse, and why are those intangibles so important to create separation, whether it's in basketball or just in life?
Well, the intangibles are always important. Those are things that never show up, but those are the things that always contribute to success, and that's where, the diving on the floor for the loose balls and, understanding that, okay, well, if I go here, I know he's going to come, so now he's going to commit, and I can see him over there at the IQ level, as you just alluded to. All those things play a very, very important part, especially timing-wise. The timing of it has to come into play, with them the tangibles happening. And it's with anything, it could be with sports or it could be with, in business. That timing and the little things that you don't see that show up is always important, That's why I would say, and Rodman was one of the most intangible guys that you can have on the basketball court because of the things that he used to do. It might not show up on the stat sheet. The bumping, the getting in someone's head, not letting them be who they truly are. Just those little nitpicking things contribute to, the outcome of what that is. So I always will say the intangibles are important as well as the details.
Hey, Muggsy.
Hey, Sam.
My man. Okay, so, yeah, I'm Sam. Now, I'm a true basketball historian. And I think I remember 2001, you were on the Raptors.
Yeah.
It was the heart of Vinsanity.
Yeah.
Vinsanity and Tracy McGrady going to their first ever playoff game.
Yes.
Coach Butch Carter decides to bench McGrady and start you.
No, it was Doug Christie.
Was it Doug Christie?
Yes.
Bench
Yes.
Tracy McGrady,
Yes.
19, and he said he wouldn't start a 19-year-old.
No, well, the way it all happened is that before the end of the regular season, Doug had got hurt. He had said, so I started the last 5 games. We went 5-0, and then it came the playoffs. And of course, first time we ever made it to the playoffs, playing New York and so forth. I came off the bench and blah, blah, blah. And then that first game, as soon as I got in, we went up 18. And then so forth. So, coach wanted to decide, okay, well, let's see if we can get off to a good start at the beginning of the game as opposed to waiting until the latter part of this the game. So that's the reason why I started, and he benched Doug Christie. But that was a good decision, though, I thought.
Okay, and just one last question. Just in your own, basketball knowledge, if Vince and Tracy stayed together, what would it have been like in Toronto?
Woo, Lord have mercy. You remember how it was in Chicago? Yeah, it could have been exactly that. But it's just that those guys were so young. T-Mac was searching. Vince was already stable. He was on board. But T-Mac, he was searching. And at that time, you're that young, and you are a franchise player, and he was a franchise player. He felt like he needed his own franchise. And that's one of the reasons why he decided to leave. But I think in retrospect, if he would have had to do it all over again, those guys, because they're cousins, they're cousins and they love each other. They will definitely change that narrative and stay with each other and see what the outcome would be, throughout their careers. And they definitely would have won multiple. It would have been multiple. And I probably could have had one then. See, y'all putting pressure on me. All right, young man, all the way in the back.
Hey, Muggsy, thanks, guys. Theme of the conference today was or the weekend was being consistent. So when you're undermanned, undersized, don't have the resources you might need, how do you stay consistent even when, you're back up against the wall and everyone's counting you out?
I always say find your own way to lead. My back was up against the wall, when I was going through my journey. As I said, folks didn't think that I should be here at 5'3". They told me that I should not even dream about the game of basketball. So when I felt that my back was against the wall, I didn't have anyone to lean on or to search to find out that answer. I decided to find my own way to lead. And the way I did that was I prepared myself. I knew if I hustle, I'll work. If I prepare, then those the resilience and the hard work will outwork any limitations. So I never even phantom of giving up. I just always try to research or find that next way to get to that goal that I'm trying to accomplish. Because I know it's a pathway there. It's just a matter of just finding that pathway. Sometimes, folks just really, truly, always want to search and lean or find another avenue to try to, make that narrative become true. Well, for me, I just stay within myself, knowing what my capabilities are, and just go heavily with that, not try to do anything that I know I'm not capable of.
Question?
I know it's one over here that, yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Isabel, and my question for you is, I think as athletes, people often forget that you guys are also human and that there's a lot that you're going through behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see. So on those days when maybe you had some personal things going on, how did you show up for your team and kind of compartmentalize, put those things aside and just show up day in and day out?
Well, that's just being a professional. That's just being a professional. Understand what your job is, what the role is, and the task at hand. I try to not bring my personal stuff to work, just like I try to not bring my work back home to my wife and family. I try to keep them separate. But, the conversations that you have with the people that you trust, hopefully that helps you, alleviate some of the things that's going on, that you're kind of able to show up in the right capacity that you need to be. So for me, I always just try to be a professional, regardless of what the situation is, what's going on, because it's crisis that happen, but life still must go on, so I try to not try to let anyone down in that regards, especially when I'm being asked and I'm being called upon.
Can you guys give it up? Thank
Is that
you.
5?
Yeah, that's 5. So whoever asked a question, can you come up to the stage so we can take a quick pic with the jerseys, and then I think Muggsy has to get going.
Oh,
I don't know if he's a Pistons fan though. I don't know.
So all the questions get the jerseys?
Yes.
Oh, they
Yeah,
trick
come
me. They
come
trick
on
me.
the stage to get a picture.
There's Sam.
Sam. Hey, young lady. You missing one?
Hold up the jerseys. Smile for the camera.
This is so awkward.
I enjoy the awkwardness. I enjoy it. I live in the awkward.
Okay, give it up, guys. That was awesome. Oh, yeah. You want to stick on for a picture?
No, hey, it's always the questions. It's always the questions, yeah.
Yes, give it up.